Okay. I'll be teaching y'all conditioning. So first there are two types. There's classical conditioning and then there's operant conditioning. And classical is basically, it deals with stimulus and responses, which is one causes the other. And as for the responses, they are natural and reflex. So it's not something that you would have the conscious decision to enact. With operant conditioning, the responses are voluntary. So meaning you behave a certain way depending on rewards or punishments. So with rewards, they increase the desired behavior, but punishments decrease the unwanted behaviors. The first type of conditioning we'll look at is classical conditioning. So with classical conditioning, there's 5 steps to it. The first one is the unconditioned stimulus, which is really just something that elicits a natural response. And that natural response would be the unconditioned response. That's the involuntary reaction. Eventually that becomes the conditioned response, and so when you take a quiz, it should be the same answer. As for neutral stimulus, that's a new stimulus that is introduced, but it really doesn't affect you at all in any sort of way. That later on becomes the conditioned stimulus. And so the way it works is the conditioned response is to this neutral stimulus where you have learned to behave a certain way towards this new object. Have y'all heard of Pavlov's dogs? Timothy.
Yes.
Explain to me what Pavlov's dogs were about.
Wait. Oh wait, no.
What do you want to
Oh, this is the food and the saliva, and I think it was a bell. Every time he would ring the bell, and then he'd give it food, and he would salivate. So eventually he'd ring the bell, and the dog would salivate, even if he didn't give him food.
Yeah. So with that, we're gonna take a look at.
You just read it.
Well, no, this is a different one.
Look, that doesn't say. You see a bell in there?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Hey, nice job.
Nice try, Bill.
Nice job.
So with this example, we're gonna walk through it just to prepare you for the quiz later on. But it says, after Pavlov secretly brought home a stray puppy, he kept her in his basement because he did not want his parents to know. He routinely walks down the stairs to feed his dog. She always salivates for her food. One day he went down to the basement to play with her, not carrying any food with him, yet the puppy still salivates. Pavlov realizes the puppy salivates to the sounds of footsteps on the staircase because she thinks she is getting food. So in this case, the unconditioned stimulus would be the food because it elicits the natural response, which is salivating, just because that's something our body does naturally. And the neutral stimulus is the footsteps, just because, typically footsteps wouldn't really initiate any salivating, any other responses. And so because of that, the conditioned stimulus is now the footsteps, and the conditioned response is the salivation. Questions, concerns? Zach? Okay.
I'm good.
And this is more of just a visual example. And instead of a bell, they use a whistle in this one.
That's how I learned best visuals.
Oh, it was a whistle.
Well, no, I think in Pavlov's it was a bell. It was a bell or a light. Okay. You ready to move on?
I was born ready.
I suppose, yeah.
Okay. So this is your first, I guess, quiz, quote unquote. Natasha goes to the doctor's office for the first time to get her shot. She follows her pediatrician into the clinical room. When the needle punctures her skin, the pain causes her to scream and cry. Now, whenever she goes to the pediatrician's office, she acts hysterical even when she is still in the lobby. Okay, y'all ready?
No. I gotta think.
Okay.
Daughter.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
30 seconds. I can't even write that fast.
We'll go. There are more examples. We'll go through it together. You have a question?
No, I'm just trying to figure out what that.
Boom, I'm done with it.
Okay. So, Tim, what were your
Okay.
answers?
Wait,
So
I got the
for
first one. Alright, go ahead.
For the unconditioned stimulus, I said pain.
Mm-hmm.
For the unconditioned response, I said being hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
For the neutral stimulus, I said going to the pediatrician. The neutral stimulus becomes the CS, whatever that's called, conditioned stimulus. So it's the same thing, going to the pediatrician. And then the conditioned response is acting hysterical.
Okay, Zach?
What he said.
No, do not get. The only thing he wrote down was unconditioned stimulus.
Okay, so what did you put for neutral stimulus again?
Going to the pediatrician.
Okay, yeah. So I had the unconditioned stimulus was pain. The unconditioned response is crying or acting hysterical. The neutral stimulus was the doctor's office. Conditioned stimulus is the doctor's office. And then the conditioned response is crying.
That's not the quiz. That doesn't count.
1 point for Tim. It's the quiz.
No! I tried so hard.
But it's okay. There's another
Next
one.
one. I'm gonna win this.
Okay, but are you still confused about it, Zach?
No, I just put the unconditional stimulus and response kind of together
Okay.
I think a good way to think of it is the UCS and the wait, no. The NS and the CS are always the same, and the UCR and the CR are always the same.
Mm-hmm.
Which I wrote.
Well, I didn't even get to the R's.
Look, if you read my notes.
Tim, I can't read your handwriting. You have chicken scratch.
Okay, continue on.
Okay, so again, just think of it as like the unconditioned. Both of those are going to be like all natural. Like if I were to punch you right now, you'd be like, "What the heck," right? So
No, you'd be crying.
pain elicits like an emotional response.
So what's CR or conditional response? Like what is
So
that?
CS is this new object that I've introduced to you.
Right.
And so instead of just me punching you every time you see me, I'm going to be like the neutral stimulus because beforehand there was nothing wrong. So
I
you
got it.
learn to like flinch whenever you see me
Got
coming.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this next one is exercise 2. Randall is scared of swimming in deep water because he almost drowned 2 years ago when he was 4 years old. His mom signed him up for swim lessons where the instructor uses toys to get the kids to play. Randall's favorite toy was the purple octopus plushie. He is always excited to get in the pool now.
Oh, I have a reverse example.
Yeah, it works for both positive and negative things.
I'm gonna get this wrong, but
That's examples, Father. Wait, what?
yeah, this is confusing. I've crossed out 3 answers already.
Okay, there's 2 possible answers for these.
There's 2?
Yeah, there's 2 possible answers, so you can get either one.
There's a drowning case and there's a toy
That's what I'm
case.
saying. Like he gets sad and then he gets excited.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong too. He's scared of something because he almost drowned. Oh, I got it.
Okay, I'm doing the drowning one.
Tim, don't.
The positive one's too hard.
I know.
I can't figure it out.
Okay. Ooh. I got this so wrong.
Trial and error.
Oh, I'm just gonna go based off the last example that these were the same. Alright, I'm done. I've definitely got this wrong though.
Yeah, you got this one back. I have an idea, but I don't think it's right.
Okay, let's just go ahead and see the answers. Or actually, Zach, you go first.
No, I honestly I got this so wrong.
No, try.
Okay, so I said the unconditional response was he was scared.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said the unconditional stimulus was he was scared.
So,
Because he drowned, right?
No, that's the opposite.
Stimulus
So
isn't like,
he's scared because he almost drowned.
think of response as reaction. Like, how do you react to it?
Oh. Dang it. Okay, so
And
flip that
this-
around.
this
Flip
is
this,
right, yeah.
flip this around.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going with that.
So unconditioned stimulus is he was drowning.
Yes.
Unconditional response was he was scared.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the NS stand for?
NS is the neutral stimulus, so this new object.
So
Neutral
swimming is what I put as the neutral object,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever the CS stands for.
Conditional stimulus.
And then the last one I put is drown.
Zach,
He'd
what
be
do you
scared. No,
You didn't put anything.
Yeah. Well, so I was starting with the unconditional stimulus, almost drowning. The response is being scared. And the stimulus would be like around a pool, which would become around the pool for the conditional stimulus. And then I guess the reaction would be being scared.
Yeah, so both of y'all were relatively right.
Happiness.
Well, that was the first example because the stimulus in that case would have been toys, and it leads them to feeling happy because they like
dang.
toys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I almost had it.
Yeah, and then the neutral stimulus would have been swimming or a pool, which is also the conditioned stimulus, and then that gets them to associate pools with happiness.
Right. Okay, so who got the point? Is what I'm like.
I mean, y'all both.
You got it wrong, so me.
You got it. She told you the answer after I got it wrong. You can't get the point.
Actually, I corrected you, so.
It's okay,
Yeah,
half and
I
half.
looked at my. No, there's no half points. You round up.
Okay. Let's see. So other than that, besides the classical conditioning, there's also the generalization phenomenon and then the extinction. And so in that last example with swimming, so that kid did associate swimming with scary stuff, but then eventually they got rid of that fear. And so that's an example of extinction where the process of a conditioned response disappears. And then generalization, it's any stimulus similar to the conditioned stimulus elicits the same response. And so there was an experiment called Little Albert and the Rat. It was deemed unethical, but hold on, I have a video of it.
Can I just watch the video?
Oh, you're here for lecture. Come sit down.
I'm late to class. You already passed halfway through. You don't get attendance credit. Wait, what's going on? Okay, you can just tell us about the rat. You don't have to show the video.
No, I have to for my project.
Oh.
No, she has to. Hey.
I
Well,
have to.
we can just cut this part. I can summarize the video.
Do you know how to edit it?
Yeah, you just.
It's okay, I have the video.
Okay, yeah, you know how to cut that part out. And resume.
Hey, there's like 7 Pop-Tarts here.
Oh, dope.
If you guys want any. And a croissant.
Don't give Zach more shitty food to give me. We need to get Willis.
It looks like a monkey.
That's a kid. That's a child. That is a monkey.
That's what I said. What's a monkey? I heard rat, so I'm like trying to think it's a rat.
Yeah, no, this is just straight child
Do you
abuse.
have the remote for the TV?
It's not playing on TV.
I know, but the sound's coming from here, I think. Okay, so basically, on the video, it shows like
Is that the
them
dog?
bringing up different animals like dogs, rabbits, rats towards this baby.
Uh-huh.
And with babies, they're gonna grab at everything. But every time that baby grabs towards a white rat, they like take 2 symbols and they just smash it. And that scares the baby. So little Albert is just like terrified of this white rat, or so they thought. But like what they didn't consider is that now little Albert's scared of anything that's fluffy. So any sort of animal, even when this guy like, hold on, how do I get back to it? So like even when this guy puts on a mask, like a furry mask, the baby gets scared of that.
No, that is messed up.
Yeah.
Is little Albert okay?
No, I think
No.
people don't really know for sure, but I think he died because he got so stressed out from it. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Poor kid.
Okay, and so this next one we're going into is operant conditioning, and again, that's where, yeah, so opposite of classical conditioning, or not opposite, is operant conditioning, where all the responses are voluntary because you're choosing to respond these ways. So with this chart, y'all might want to write it down because it'll help y'all later.
I'm a slow writer, so.
Well,
What
actually,
am I writing down?
you really only need to write down positive punishment, negative punishment,
Positive punishment.
positive reinforcement, and negative reinforcement. But don't think of positive and negative as like good or bad things. Think of it as adding or taking away. So with positive reinforcement, you're adding a reward. You're adding something to increase good behavior. Negative reinforcement, you're taking away you're taking away something to increase good behavior. So an example could be like, you're grounded, but your mom sees that you've been like helping your brothers out with
I never got that.
studying, and so they like lessen your grounded punishment to like 2 weeks. And then positive punishment, it's adding a punishment. So in that case, you would get grounded.
Very interesting.
As for negative punishment, it'll be taking something away, such as like if a teacher sees you texting in class, they take away your phone.
Very nice. Did you get all that?
Yeah, we're about to find out.
Okay, well, there's a quiz on the next one.
God, that's the longest.
Yeah, so there's 7 questions. Just answer whether each of them are positive or negative reinforcement or punishment.
God, I wasn't paying that much attention.
I paid plenty of attention, so I know exactly how to do this.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting.
Do any of these have like 2 potential answers?
No. Well, if you
That
find
means you're
one,
screwed.
if you find one, you can suggest.
I can make an argument on this.
I might have missed it.
I think this was this.
I have. Okay, I'm just gonna. Well, same thing as that one, I guess. Yes, he is. Oh, I got this so wrong. I'm going for C's get degrees. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's negative reinforcement again?
Negative reinforcement. So negative is taking away. Reinforcement increases good behavior.
Alright, I got that one right. So adding it increases.
I'm done.
I think. Wait. Oh no, I got. Wait.
Oh, no. Have you been cheating on these?
No.
You must not do well in time quizzes.
Well, they usually give you a lot of time.
Look, it's not my fault. Pretty sure there's no limit though.
Oh, he gets a sticker?
You should get a sticker. Getting this far.
I'm done.
Okay. So what y'all get for the first answer?
We'll say it at the same time.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Positive punishment.
Ah,
Oh, whoa,
wait. Okay,
Oh.
yeah. Positive
Okay,
punishment.
this next one is the one I have an argument for, but I'm still gonna say my answer.
Okay.
1,
Second one.
2, 3.
Positive punishment.
Yeah.
So yeah, my
Oh,
argument for this
actually-
one is it could be negative
Yeah.
because it's like you're taking away their ability to work, but it's also positive because you're adding unemployment to them.
That's how I read it.
Yeah. You can put it that way too. I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I also
actually,
had negative.
hold on.
I don't know if I
Just to note, the first question was the owner sprays water at their cat because it keeps knocking over the decor, and they said positive punishment. And the second one was the employee is fired because they keep showing up late to work. So that is negative punishment. Okay, so third one. Addison's mom takes his phone away because he is failing a class.
Negative punishment.
I changed my answer last second.
Yes.
It worked out.
Oh, you definitely cheated.
All
I
right.
did not. I can't read your handwriting. You're covering it.
4. Julia's prison sentence is decreased for good behavior.
Negative reward.
Negative reinforcement? What?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah. Negative reward. Okay.
What?
So
It's the
5.
same thing.
Did I miss something? Where did reward come
Reward
from?
and reinforcement are the same thing.
Yeah, but reward wasn't on the past slide.
I mean, reward and reinforcement is fine.
This sucks.
So 5. The dog gets a treat whenever it sits on command.
Positive
reward.
reinforcement.
Yes. 6. Bob is grounded for coming home past his curfew.
Negative
Positive.
reinforcement.
Ooh, punishment.
Negative reinforcement.
Positive.
So remember, punishment is to decrease bad behavior.
I kind of guessed, I'll be honest, dude.
This is actually positive punishment because it's adding a punishment to the situation.
Well, you got both of those wrong.
Don't look at my answers.
Okay, last one. Sam is getting a sticker for her hard work.
Positive reward.
Positive reward.
Perfect.
I should put that on the son of a
Oh,
gun.
you owe me $1, Zach. I won on the quiz.
It's not over yet!
Well, I mean, the quiz portion's over, but the lesson's still on. So other than that, there's 2 types of
You
reinforcement.
know what, Tim? Guess who learned more?
Oh, I'm gonna take away a point.
I didn't have a point to begin with.
Okay, so types of reinforcement. There's primary and there's secondary. Primary appeals to like one's biological needs, so like food, water, shelter. And then secondary are rewards that are learned to appreciate. Could y'all think of some?
Money.
Yeah, money's one. Zach, I gave you so many examples in the quiz.
Oh, the sticker.
Yeah. Okay, and then other than that, there's vicarious reinforcement / punishment.
That is my punishment.
Vicarious means like through someone else. And so in a classroom setting where, like for example, if you see me going, oh, good job, Tim, after he answers a question correctly, you'll want to answer or put more effort into it.
You didn't say nice try, Zach.
I know.
You
Instead
had
I
it
said,
twice.
instead I helped Zach.
When you got the wrong answers.
Yeah. Or like if you were, just like you were talking out loud and I said, oh, I'm taking a point away from you. Tim's gonna make sure not to act that way so I don't take a point away from him. And then last thing is the pre-MAC principle, which is also known as grandma's rule. And it has that work first, play later kind of mindset where teachers or parents, they'll usually,
Are we getting quizzed on all this?
no.
But you still write it down because it's important.
So where like the teachers will be like, hey, if you act good, you'll get garlic bread later.
Garlic bread?
And that's it.